think this thing is ready to go. Hey, look at that. There it goes. Give me just a second to see what else is going on here, and I will be right with you. I do love live streams. They're so much fun, right? So much stuff to see. From this side, boy, so much stuff to do. I am testing out a new microphone today. I'm testing out actually a new microphone and camera system. That's what you're looking at. It's a fun little thing to really just have to get online and test things out and see how it works for you and see if people are watching and see what happens when like you kind of combine all this stuff all at once. Also trying to figure out how I might share a screen with you guys on this, because I have a couple of slides I really wanted to share and show you, but it doesn't look like it's going to quite let me do that. That's okay. So, greetings and salutations, friend. If this is your first time meeting me, I know I've got a bunch of handful of people, bunch of handfuls. I know there's a bunch of people who've recently become familiar with me, who started listening to some of my old videos and watching my content. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I am Jeremy Tank, and if this is your first time watching me, I am your brand guy. What does that mean? That means that unlike a lot of the digital marketers out there, unlike a lot of the coaches, the consultants who are out there trying to offer you the package and work you through their programs and their processes to, get your business set up, I'm actually coming at this stage, a foundational stage. We call it brand strategy or business strategy. The way that I approach things, the way that I work with you, really consists of three different pillars. It is figuring out who your audience is, your customers, your potential customers, what they need to see from you or hear from you as part of the user journey. And gosh, there's so much about that. There's demographics, like how old are they? Are they male or female? Do they have a job? What's their education level? It's important to figure this stuff out to learn how to talk with them. But also psychographics, or the idea of using psychology to figure out what they need, what they're all about. That would include things like, do they eat hot dogs for dinner regularly? I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it's just a fun little question to ask, right? Because if they do, what does that say about them? What does that say about their lives? What does that say about what they enjoy, or, maybe they don't enjoy? They're just living life. And it's really fun for me to kind of put myself in that situation and thinking about that stuff. One of my strong suits, because I'm the owner, the founder actually of Think Tank Creative, that is a creative branding studio working with businesses, consultants, coaches, all sorts of different levels of corporations to rebrand the things they've been doing for growth. And for growth is kind of a nebulous term, but growth could be, if you're somebody who wants more followers, got to figure out who your audience is. If you're a corporation, you're trying to figure out how to sell more of a product, you got to figure out who your audience is. Who are you talking to? Who's going to buy? Who's going to be interested in what you're selling? What difference are you making in their life? What is the user journey and how they get to you? I don't really want to get into all this stuff. You can read a lot of this on my Think Tank Creative business page. I also have a free group if you're interested in watching more of these videos about branding, mindset, and actually frequency, energy, quantum, like healing, that kind of stuff. That's all part of branding and quantum creativity. That is my free group where I actually have all of this stuff, all of these exercises that I have developed, I have combined into a series of exercises, and I tell you, there's a bunch of them. You don't need every single one, but every single one helps you take a step in the right direction. There's 37 exercises currently, and I keep adding more exercises as I think of something that I know that you would benefit from. I create another worksheet. I add it to this group. I help expand how you are thinking about yourself in terms of your personal brand, or your coaching business in terms of your coaching brand, or your business, your corporation, whatever you're actually trying to build towards. Because most coaches that I know of, And I'm saying coach a lot, and I know that's not true for every one of you, but I know that as part of the friends, the attachments that I have on Facebook, a lot of you are coaches. It really, we're talking about where you want to go in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm sure it isn't doing the same thing that you're doing right now. You want to have to see some growth. You want to expand into possibly groups, or you want to expand into like an automated way of really dealing with people, and maybe workshops and live workshops and speaking engagements and things like that. And it's a fun way to really expand that kind of business, right? And as a consultant, if you're going in with corporations, you want to make sure you're building your expertise, which is your personal brand and things that you're really doing to help people move to their next step of success. That's what I do as a consultant, at least. So I'm still trying to just play with my microphone here and look at a couple things, test some things. So if you're sitting tight, keep sitting tight. This is not really something I plan to do. This is just something I am getting out here and testing and playing with. I appreciate you being here for me. I appreciate you sitting through a little bit of this. So the second pillar of branding, once you know your customer, once you know your audience, and I don't like calling them customers, because what? Customer is somebody that buys from you, and I typically think of physical retail places with customers. When someone goes in and they buy something and then they walk away, that's a customer. We don't really have customers as an online business. And if you're running an e-commerce store, you kind of know this. It's a customer when they buy, but before that, it's what, a browser, a looker, an audience, a lead. Like, there's so many really cheesy, awful, horrible marketing ways of saying that sort of thing. I really love saying the word audience, because we are in a social economy, a social media economy, a social attention economy right now. And what that really means is that people are paying attention online. They're really trying to. I thought the microphone dropped there. They're just paying attention to everything you do. They're paying attention to what you say. They're paying attention to, don't think of it in terms of they to you. Think of it in terms of, what do you do when you are learning about someone else's expertise? What do you do to research them? What do you do to get to know them? Because I know that, probably 1,000 of my connections on here, and you may be one of those, 1,000 of you are coaches. And out of 2,500, that's a big chunk. And I know that a lot of you connected with me because you're like, hey, I see that you're a brand coach and I want to help you boost your business, and I want to put you in my program. And I appreciate that, but it's not my gig, because your programs in a lot of ways are marketing, and you don't actually take into effect the branding aspect before jumping into the marketing. And I don't mean that to insult anybody, but you're doing it wrong. Like, these corporations for years have been sort of shifting gears into more of the mindset of branding. What is branding? Branding is intentionally standing out from your competition. It's doing things that make you interesting to your particular audience. It's doing things and speaking to people in a way that grabs their attention, that shocks them out of the normal, shocks them out of the ordinary. And that how you execute that's marketing, right? And a lot of people, a lot of business people, a lot of high-end business people start going, how do I deal with marketing strategy? Where are the people who think these things through? Well, they've transitioned, because digital marketing has just become about, it's like McDonald's and cheeseburgers. And a lot of people, a lot of business owners right now are like, look, I want to jump online. I want to go ahead and start building a business online. And so they go, well, I need a cheap logo, and I need a cheap website, and I need everything cheap. And there's no real way to solve the bigger problem of sustainable business, growing business, legacy business. You notice this idea, business starts small and grows. It starts with people who understand what you're trying to offer, a very small percentage. Seth Godin says that that's like 2.2% when you're looking at the bell curve of people who join in and buy things. Like, it starts with the 2% that get it. They get it. And then it expands from there to 10, 16, and 30%. By about the 50% mark, you got a huge amount of people, and then it drops down again. And you have the outliers on the other side, the 2% that just absolutely hate you. And that's okay. That's business, right? Some people like you, some people don't like you. If you are listening to me, and apparently there is at least one person on listening to me, if you could just drop me a line saying, hey, if the audio sounds good, if the video looks good, I'd just appreciate a little bit of feedback, say, live or something over in the comments down below. So audience. First pillar of branding is audience, because you have to know who you're talking to in order to know what to offer them, in order to know why it matters in their life at all, right? That's sort of important. And then the second pillar is your brand. Or I should say brand values. That's a better way to say it, because values are more aligned with mindset. And everybody says, mindset is everything. You have to have your mind and your cognition, your cerebellum really firing on all cylinders to have your mindset right. But we kind of have to define mindset to actually figure out what values even matter to you, right? Mindset is all about the stories that you are telling about what's possible in life or not possible in life. If I told you that everything you know is based on things that have just been passed down, observed by somebody else, and interpreted by somebody else of somebody else, it's the Socrates, Plato, Aristotle problem, right? What is real? Which one of those three is the truth? Well, all of them and none of them. And you kind of have to have dug into some classical philosophy for some of that. But mindset is just, the way you're raised, plus the things that you've learned, plus the experiences that you've had, shape how you view the world and how you view what's possible in the world. And a lot of times we start to say, people have a money difficulty mindset or a lack mindset. And what that's just saying is that really they've gotten built into their perception of reality that there is a victimhood and that they feel deserving of something that they may not be able to achieve themselves. They have to have somebody else on, with them to give it to them. And business owners all the time end up going with mindset coaches and brand coaches to help break out of this, or marketing coaches, just business coaches, management coaches. It's all about breaking outside the paradigm of wherever you've been before. Okay, so if that's mindset, if it's breaking outside of, here's your paradigm of what is or what can be, and it's breaking outside of that, you're exploding your mindset. Why is that possible? Is that possible? I have a couple of clients that I work with brand coaching, and with my brand coaching, we're talking about sitting down and really delving into deep subconscious beliefs. And belief is really something that is wrapped up in what's happened in that life that has determined this is what's true for that person. And it can be freeing. It can also be really claustrophobic and closing down. And yeah, I know I'm a little bit all over the place. Someone just commented I'm all over the place. That's okay. This is really just a test of the microphone in the system, and the noisy chair, I'll have to replace that because I'm doing some podcasts this week, and I want to make sure as a guest that my microphone is nice and clear and speaking properly. Yes, I trimmed my beard. Yes, it's all gone. It's very, very tight and tidy now. So if mindset, and I'm working with people in hypnotherapy through brand coaching and using magnetic mind sort of ideals, which is, that's very law of attraction, frequency, energy sort of thing, and very woo-woo, right? This is what you guys are, this is what a lot of you love me for, that I get into the woo-woo and the science and the quantum science and the physics of it, and the neuroscience, because here's the thing, if mindset is an understanding of where we are is the way that I perceive reality, and we understand that there's a system within our brain called the reticular activating system that literally filters out the things that we don't believe, so that we are presented with a reality that is a reinforcement of what we believe. How do we create that reality? Where is the scales that we use to judge what our system is actually presented with? What beliefs do we go into? And we use values to do that. Values like hard work, like deservingness, right? There's a lot of I don't deserve sorts of things that happen in the world. And a lot of business leaders, I'm just checking my settings here, looking into the audio, looks like everything's still going. A lot of business leaders, gosh, I'm gonna say this, and I hope I don't regret it later. When I first meet a lot of business leaders, they seem really arrogant. They seem really stuck in their own space. They really seem self reinforcing, and from a mindset perspective, that's really powerful because they are literally walking in the shoes of confidence to create more confidence within themselves. They are walking, saying they are worthy of the investments of their employees towards the workplace, of their shareholders towards the dividends, or just they're worthy of having the vision and carrying it forward for the business. So they have to really project and step into that mindset of growth and success. But it's sometimes hard because there's a lot of people out there who, right, some of those deep subconscious values of themselves, of their life, of what they believed to be right and worthy of moving forward. By the time they get into business, they can be really successful, right? And this is one of those comedies, tragedies, tragedies of life where we can actually be really successful and feel really awful. Or alternatively, we can feel fantastic and not be showing the success in the world. And there's a conflict, a contrast between the beliefs and how we are living, the actions, the behaviors that we inhabit to carry those forward. And some of those things, a lot of those things are based in belief. A lot of those things are based in the belief of who we are, what we deserve, what we believe life is about, what the meaning behind it is. Sometimes the meaning's just of money and friendship and our goals and whether we can achieve things. I have a client through the brand coaching that all the time says, I'd rather be a pessimist and think negatively constantly, and when and understand that it could go maybe okay, and rather than think positively and work towards that and work extra hard and make sure that that happens. I would rather just be pessimistic and lazy. That's no way to actually attain a goal, right? How do you build a business if you actually intend to be lazy and go about it like that? So brand values are really the gauges of what we value in our beliefs, in our guidelines. And within ourselves, what happens is that our reticular activating system, this brain system that acts as a filter for our reality, our perception, uses those values to show us or promote the things that we choose to believe. And that can come from childhood, that can come from self-belief or reinforcement, positive statements that you make to yourself, hypnotherapy, all sorts of things actually kind of build that. It could also be from the music you listen to, honestly, some of the movies you watch and the TV shows you watch. It's one of those things, those values shift. And they shift with culture, and they shift with society, and they shift with time. So it's difficult to know, really, yourself, what you truly value. And that's a challenge, because how do you move forward when you don't actually know yourself? Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 3. To thine own self be true. I don't actually know if that's the scene, but it feels like it might be. Polonius. So, first pillar of branding, in this nice little microphone test I'm going to do for a half hour here, just to giving everything a shot, is audience, knowing who they are, knowing your demographics, your psychographics. I actually enjoy using archetypes too. These are based in Jungian psychology, where Jung actually sat down and kind of worked through stories and said, okay, well, here's the hero archetypes. Archetypes are these concepts that are repeated over and over and over again through culture, through society, through stories from ancient times. I'm talking pre-Sumerian, right? We're talking the flood, old stuff. Just before Greek, before Roman, people were still telling stories. In tribal cultures, people were still telling stories. There was lots of things that help us understand what a story is. And actually, a lot of these stories, the way they evolved is to help us understand our place in the world, our position in the world. And so by hearing these stories actually growing up, we understand what a hero is. And we can choose ourselves to become a hero, and a hero's journey is actually Joseph Campbell's classic structure. Think of Star Wars or Aragon, the books, when the movie is okay. And it's just something that helps us understand what, our place in the world, how we relate to each other, how we relate to nature, how we relate to lots of different things. And by understanding an archetype in terms of your audience, you're understanding sort of their place in the world, how they perceive. It's really a perception thing. Where are they thinking of the world? How are they thinking of themselves in the world? Are they the hero? Are they a villain? Are they a sovereign? Are they a king? Are they a magician, a sage, there's 12 of them, so I don't this is the reason to work with me, because we figure this stuff out for you. Who is your audience, but also then who are you? Because this goes towards the values. If you are a maverick archetype, right? If you are presenting yourself out there as a maverick, what does that mean? That means you are looking at everything that everyone else is doing, and you are purposely making choices counter to that. Now that is branding in and of, essentially, let's go ahead and look what's out there and do something different so it stands out and catches attention. That's the part of branding that I love, because you want to come up with something new. You want to grab someone's attention. You want to kind of stand in their face and say, hey, I want to help you. It's kind of fun like that, right? So the first brand archetype, or the first brand pillar, is audience. Second brand pillar is values. I'm just going to go back to just calling it values, because that's what it's about. Some people call that brand strategy, because it's about talking about the emotions that bind your audience to your product, your offer, your service, whatever it is you're doing. And that's really, a lot of behavioral branding is about the emotional connection and what it takes for your brain to recognize the emotional connection, and then your customer, your audience's brain, to recognize the emotional connection, make that connection so that they're interested in you. And the last pillar of branding, brand strategy, the last pillar of this stuff is actions, right? There's a great Australian guy, Chris Duncan. He's all about the magnetic mind method, which is a factor of law of attraction, wherein you are really stepping into who and what you want to become in a way that is transformative to you, because you are living and breathing the future you now, right? If you want to be successful, if you want to lose weight, if you want to work with people around the world, are you going to sit and wait for it to happen? No. You have to get up and actually start working out. You have to start possibly eating better, healthier. You have to start taking care of yourself in terms of maybe massage or chiropractic, or I think of my wife, acupuncture, right? Tai Chi, Qigong, movement things. Or if it's business thing, then you got to start reaching out to more people. You have to show people who you are and what you're all about. Because actions are what transform life as it is into life as it can be. And the best way to do that is to start through your behavior, through your actions, and start doing those. And so when I'm talking to coaches, when I'm doing my alignment calls, by the way, if this is something that interests you, if you're really curious about working with me, if you're just on a base level, we're not even talking jumping into, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I know coaches say, sit through a discovery call with me, and then my program is like, what, $8, $10, $12,000. For $2,500, I sit down with you and we go through, usually lasts about 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours, go through all of this stuff. And it's a customized plan for you. It's the flat rate. And we just work together to figure out all this stuff. This is brand strategy. This is high level. And the reason to do this is because it makes all your marketing easier. When you understand who the audience is and you actually understand the offer more than when you work with your digital marketing company, when you work with your social media company, when you work with your SEO company, all that stuff just flows so much easier because you've worked with me, you've sorted it all out, and you then present from a consistent and committed place of what you offer and how you offer it. So the last pillar is action. It's action. And the way I like to look at action is that there's really 3 different aspects of it. I love triangles, right? The pyramid shape. So the idea here is that you want to figure out actions that increase revenue. Always good, right? Increased revenue means more money coming in. And there are three main ways to increase revenue. You can increase the price that you are asking. You can increase the amount of times that you sell to a person, or the things, having them come back and buy more. Or you can get just a bunch more people. Those are the only really three ways that you're going to increase revenue. So the other way is increase efficiency for your business. And there's a lot of coaches out there that are focusing on that right now. And when you increase efficiency and you increase revenue, what you're doing is you are expanding the here. Let's increase efficiency, so there's less being spent on the processes that you're doing daily, and we increase revenue. So then what we've got is this great gap here that what do we call that? Profit, right? If you're spending less time and less money to get things done, and you're making more money, that means you're taking home more profit. And that is key. That's awesome. And the last one is awareness. How are you going to increase, what actions can you take to increase the amount of awareness for your business, your brand, your products, your services, all of that kind of stuff, whatever it is that you are building. And a lot of times these days, that would be your marketing company, that would be your SEO company, your web company, your funnel builder, all these different people that are out there selling things that get the word out about you. This could be, no, I'm not going to put VAs there. Thank you. But actually, I would say that VAs, virtual assistants, are part of increasing revenue, because if you can take the social media aspect off of your plate and focus on serving your clients and building, working, how's this? Working on your business instead of working in your business, right? That's what's going to allow you to get to a point of scale of growth where you can actually take a day off at the beach or enjoy yourself. We've here in Seattle, I've actually got some sun today. It's beautiful. It's kind of streaming in, so it's real nice. So those are the three ways of kind of naming actions that you can take to make a real transformation in your business. You can brainstorm ways to increase revenue, brainstorm ways to increase efficiency, and brainstorm ways to increase awareness of your business, your brand. And right now, what I see is a lot of people jumping on and doing messenger strategies and DM strategies and funnel strategies and video strategies. And to me, these are all tactical executions, which is okay. That's great. It's things getting done. It's movement. But I don't often see the connecting point of where that is actually reinforcing the values that we talk about that support who you are becoming, what you are offering in terms of you and your audience, so that they start to collectively brainstorm or have this sudden idea that you are connected with your brand. So, coming down the last couple minutes here. This is just going to be a half hour, like I said today, mostly just kind of testing the microphone, testing my setup for a podcast tomorrow. I will share, this is a two-part podcast. I will share as soon as the first one is published. I believe it's going to be this week. I will go ahead and share that out because I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. It is all about mindset. It is all about subconscious reprogramming that I do. It is all about how the mind works, how neuroplasticity actually allows for the opportunity to move beyond mindset, to move beyond our base programming, our childhood programming, our trauma programming, in order to find the success in who we are, to feel better about ourselves, and taking steps like that. The second part of the interview will probably be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and that is actually more of a deep dive into the woo-woo side, connecting quantum science, physics, and branding into the idea of mindset, into the idea of what we're growing and what we're building together. And I say together, but it's all we're all individuals together. That's how this works in this meat suit, right? That's how I like to think of this. Like, okay, it's a nice meat suit. It's all this stuff that we get to wear and figure out and live through. So here's the deal. If you have any questions for me, I would love if you go ahead and write in comments, or jump over to Think Tank Creative and like Think Tank Creative. And if you're interested in learning more about this and diving into a branding process for yourself, check out Branding and Quantum Creativity. That is my free group where I am actually sharing my branding process, where you can kind of do it for yourself. Give it a try. all the exercises I was just talking about, the 3 pillars, they are in there. There's a couple different exercises for each one to really help you cross-reference yourself. There's an idea we have in branding that you can't read the label from inside the bottle. And in psychology, the way we look at that is you can't actually know your identity because you're so busy living it. And anything that you say, I am happy, I am tall, I am strong, I am confident, that is you projecting the idea outward, but it is not you being it. And the more that we tend to project, the more we tend to actually have an absence within because of that projection. It's when someone else recognizes that we can be chill and calm and just good with ourselves that we start to actually be told, oh, you seem really confident. And then like it's this chain that can grow. It's the flywheel. It starts very slowly, just being yourself and doing what you know and doing what you're an expert in and sharing what you're an expert in, that people go, oh yeah, he's an expert in that. Totally. I would love to work with him. And in this case, it's me, right? When I get around people personally, one-to-one, I feel super confident. I know what I'm talking about. You want to talk about branding? I'm all there. You want to talk about subconscious reprogramming? You want to talk about mindset? I am all there. You want to talk about how this stuff affects you and who you want to become and how you want to better yourself for your future, your business, all of that. I'm all about it. You want to talk about design? I'm all about that. I sit down on a computer and I start to just kind of go for it. It's just part of my energy. It's the stuff that pops in my head, and that's this is my expertise. So I just love to rap on it here. And it looks like this whole thing recorded pretty well. It looks like the microphone sounds pretty good. So I appreciate you sticking with me today. I appreciate you if you have actually listened to this whole thing and sat through this whole thing. I tell you what, drop a little heart in the comments, and I will send you I will send you something special. I will send you my little branding booklet. It is 10 exercises to help you build your brand the way that you want. And it's a great little booklet. It's just a PDF, and it is actually exercises from the Branding and Quantum Creativity group that I have combined so that you can get started on really your brand strategy and figuring this stuff out faster than anything else. So if you've watched this whole thing, consider this a gift. Just drop a little heart down in comments, and I'll DM that PDF over to you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.